Week's featured story, What Charlie Heard, by Mordicai Gerstein. For my parents, who filled my childhood with that mysterious, invisible, magical stuff, music. Charles Ives was born with his ears wide open. The very first sound he heard might have been his father's trumpet announcing his birth to the town of Danbury, Connecticut. Sometimes little Charlie lay in his crib just listening. He heard his mother's long dress as she moved around his room. He heard big clocks and little clocks. He heard wagons and horse hooves. Charlie heard dogs and crickets and the church bell next door. Charlie heard his father play the trumpet, the piano, the violin. Charlie's father was a music teacher and the leader of the town's brass band. Charlie loved music and sounds and noises of all kinds. And so did Charlie. When Charlie's brother was born, the house became so noisy that his father practiced his fiddle in the barn. Charlie came too. He swung on the harnesses and listened. He smelled hay and horses. Charlie heard his father's fiddle and the spring peepers. Charlie heard church bells, fire truck bells, and ice cream man's bell, and the train's bell and whistle.
Ice cream! Ice cream!
On the 4th of July, Charlie wrote a quote. Charlie heard fireworks in his father's band with the big bass drum. Charlie heard the applause, sighs, and cheers of the crowd. One day, church bells rang during a thunderstorm. "Listen," said Charlie's father, and dashed out into the downpour. So, he rushed back and struck a cluster of notes on the piano. Thunder rumbled and bells clanged. "That's not quite it," he said to Charlie, and again ran into the rain. Dripping, he returned and tried another chord. "That's closer," he said. "Closer to what, Dad?" Charlie asked. "The sound of the bells in the storm. Listen to this." Charlie listened to the piano and the bells and the thunder. Charlie tried to make those sounds on the piano too. It was all noise. It was all music. Charlie tried to make the sound of a big bass drum. "That's good, Charlie," cried his father. And so Charlie began drum lessons with Mr. Schleyer, a fine drummer. He was also the town barber. Soon Charlie was playing drums with his father's all-girl cornet band. He learned to play the trumpet and the piano too. Charlie heard the notes of his father's trumpet drift like dragonflies across the pond at twilight. At tent meetings, Charlie heard people sing hymns. They didn't have beautiful voices, but they made beautiful music. One town holiday, Charlie's father had two bands march around the town square in opposite directions, playing different tunes. "I want to hear how it sounds," he said. He and Charlie stood in the middle and enjoyed the wonderful racket. "Interesting," said his father. "Very interesting." In the summer heat, Charlie heard the bat hit the ball he had just pitched. Charlie heard his heart beat as he ran for it. When the ball hit his glove, Charlie heard the cheering of the crowd. Later, Charlie heard his mother say, "Charlie, be careful of your hands. You have to play the organ in church tomorrow." As the keys rattled softly under his fingers, Charlie heard the organ sigh and sing, trumpet and chorus as the music of Bach vibrated in the cramped pipes. His heart sang along as it did to the sound of the bat hitting horsehide, or to the concussion of rockets in his father's brass band parading and playing on the 4th of July. It was all noise, and music was glorious noise. Charlie began to make up his own music and write it down. He wrote songs, dances, and organ pieces. He wrote marches, fierce, happy ones that his father's band played, sad ones to play for pets that had died. He wrote music all through high school. Charlie heard popular songs and fiddle tunes. Sometimes he and his father went to New York City to hear the symphonies of Beethoven, Brahms, and others. Charlie continued writing music about things he'd heard, or seen, or feelings he had. But sometimes it was just to hear how different notes would sound together. He went off to college, studied music, and played football. Early one morning, Charlie heard the telephone ring.
Ring! Ring! Ring!
Charlie heard his mother's voice. "Charlie," she said, "last night your father died." Charlie heard a great silence.
Now it's time for